Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Fearless and Undefined. And on today's episode of Super Queens, we have a special guest with a little tick about her. She is absolutely amazing. I met her this past summer, and this topic came up in conversation once because I thought I heard a sneeze, and we just breezed past it because it's her everyday life. So I'm really excited for her to share her story. Let's go meet her. Hi, I'm so glad you could join me today. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
So, my name is Avery Hill. I am a 19-year-old turning 20 in Michigan, and I am a former Miss Michigan Collegiate America 2025. And I'm also a former Miss Michigan Teen USA, and I have Tourette's.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations on both of those titles. Those are amazing. When were you diagnosed with this?
I first got diagnosed with Tourette's when I was 14 years old. So, right at the beginning of COVID for me. But I started noticing the tick symptoms when I was about 12 years old. So, that was when I was like in seventh grade.
Okay. So, how severe would you say this is? Because normally, when I think of Tourette's, the first person that comes to mind is the girl in the TV show. I think it's like Living Like Balin. And like, I know
Yes.
that hers are very much out there,
Mhm.
but I know that there could be like a range of how it is. So, what does it look like for you personally?
My ticks are very, very mild. I noticed that I tick probably once or twice every hour. So pretty frequent, but mine aren't really noticeable. I have ticks where I gasp. I have a tick where I like kind of jerk my neck back and make movements with my arms, but nothing verbal for me. So I would say like on the entire spectrum of ticks disorders, I'm kind of more mild, like right in the middle. And Balin is super awesome. I met her last March when we went to the Tourette's Association of America. They had a National Tick Day and or National Tick Advocacy Day, and we went to Washington D.C. and we got to go to the Capitol and talk to all of our legislators about funding and research. So that was really amazing.
Oh my, that sounds like a dream. That's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
knowing that yours, you say, are like on the milder side, has this ever affected you in like the pageant world, like during an interview or on stage answering a question or speeches?
I feel like for me, leading up to interviews and leading up to going on stage, they happen a little bit more. For me, my tics really come out more frequently to where they're noticeable when I'm in really high stress environments or I'm really anxious. And being at the Tick National Advocacy Day, I noticed that like being around other people who have tics as well, that also just makes them come out more. So just like those circumstances for me, but like I'm so comfortable being on stage and talking to people that they don't really come out that much. And if they do, I'm just like, oh, I have Tourette's and don't pay any mind to it.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with you this past summer, and I thought I was one of your ticks, but I thought you had sneezed, so I was like, "Oh, bless you," and you're like, "No, no, no, that's just my Tourette's. It's fine." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay." We just breezed past it, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
absolutely.
It completely like slipped my mind, like thinking of people for this. And then when Zoe had said, "Oh, you should talk to Avery," I was like, oh, "I remember that conversation." So knowing that, like you said, it's more the stressful environments, has it ever affected you in like a classroom setting, like when you're stressed out for like an exam that might come up, or maybe a presentation for class?
Yeah, absolutely. It has. There was actually an instance where like my assigned seating was towards the back of the classroom, like right against a brick wall. And I think the climate of the classroom it was so cold. So I was ticking a lot. And I remember like ticking and hitting my head against the back of the wall. And I was like, okay, I need to move. I need to talk to my teachers about this. So I actually met with my teachers and like got a doctor's note and everything and set up a 504 plan for me. So I get accommodating testings. And so if I need to, I can get like time and a half on a test. And then I also get to be in a secluded room to where if I am ticking, it's just me in there and I'm not distracting anybody else. So that's really been helpful with trying to just stay calm and ease the anxious feelings.
Oh, that's awesome. I understand that. I also had private testings and time and a half just because for my dyslexia, processing things, it
Mm-hmm.
would take me 2 to 3 times to read like a question just to be like, okay, this is what it's asking. And
Yeah.
being in that room by yourself, knowing that I could talk to myself if I needed
Mm-hmm.
to. I could, talk out loud or read something out loud. That way I didn't have to worry about, like whispering to myself. And also for me, like the distraction level. Because anytime I took like a quiz or a test in a classroom, my eyes, not on purpose, would dart all over the room. And just like, so many teachers were like, oh, like that's cheating. And I'm like, it's actually not. It's just the testing anxiety side of me that I just freak out and I'm like looking at the time, then back at my exam, and then oh my god, they're like 5 questions ahead of me. Okay, they're done, and just like the level of stress, like I would definitely understand like having to be by yourself. Have your teachers like being in college now, like are they accommodating with that, or have you had problems ever with a teacher being like, is it necessary?
I have had a teacher kind of question as to why I needed one. And after like learning that, like, they're not really supposed to ask why, like, you have a 504 plan in place for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and that's your right as a student. And just knowing that, like, I explained to her, like, hey, I have Tourette's and this is just so I can focus and not disrupt anybody else. And that was the end of the conversation for me. But I noticed that a lot of my culinary teachers are just like, I tell them, hey, I have accommodating testing areas and I get to, like, I take my test by myself. I usually go in this room. Is that okay with you? And they're like, yep, cool. Just remind me before you go in to take your test. And it's as easy as that, which I
Yeah.
really appreciate.
Yeah, most of my teachers were like, "Yeah, totally fine. Just remind me like a couple days prior because we had a testing center that I took all of mine at, with the exception of like a couple of my labs that had to be like hands-on with things. They were just like remind us and email us and we'll get you scheduled on a different day and you'll be fine." I was like, "Perfect."
And even that too for me, because a part of the culinary classes that I'm taking, we do practical exams as well as written exams. So our practical exams, I usually communicate to my teacher as well that, like, just because like they will probably become more frequent, just being like within a time frame I have to get all of this done and have it be perfect and presented to you, it's going to make me stressed out and I will be taking more. I'm just like, hey, can I just go in this corner away from everyone and work over here? And they're like, yeah, cool,
Yeah.
whatever, just get your stuff done. We don't care.
I love when teachers are fully accepting of it because a lot of it I've learned because for me it took me so long to be comfortable with speaking up for myself and what I needed that once I got to that point most of my teachers like were very understanding. They were like, "Yep, do what you need to. We'll figure it out." And it felt better honestly knowing like I could speak up and say, "Hey, I need this." And
Mm-hmm.
it just made everything so much easier. Sometimes I would use my full time and a half. Sometimes I wouldn't because I wasn't as stressed out. I feel like for me in the beginning, not having it, the stress level just goes through the roof. But knowing I had that security of if I needed it, it was there, it just made me like relax a lot more, be able to breathe, not freak out as much. And it's honestly amazing.
Yeah.
So, lastly, what is something that you would like to tell other girls, young or older than you, who are afraid of embracing like their true self on stage or being afraid that a tick coming out on stage or in an interview room would be a bad thing?
I would just say that it makes you more relatable. If I tick and talking in front of an audience, it makes it more real for somebody else who is in the audience watching to be like, okay, like I am also experiencing something like this and I don't have to try and conceal it. And I know for me too, I would like physically get hurt if I would try to like hold in my ticks. And just knowing that like it's involuntary. I don't have a choice or a knowing ahead of time of when I'm going to tick. I can't control it. So it's coming out is just, it's so normal to me. And even just advocating for myself and even with my family too. My sisters are just like joke on it all the time, and I'm like, guys, like, this is real. Probably shouldn't be joking about it, but like, sisters. But it's just like it does make it way more real and way more relatable for somebody else who like is watching you to be like, she's also experiencing this, and she's either like she's my advocate, maybe I don't have the voice to speak up yet, and I'm seeing myself in this person, and that makes me know that one day when I am able to speak up for myself and others, I can be like that too. So it's super special, especially for Tourette's too, learning that it affects 1 in 10 people.
Wow.
It's so common, and it's such a big spectrum that even I remember my neurologist telling me that like she'll have kids coming in for just checkups on themselves, and she'll end up diagnosing parents with Tourette's because they've been living with it for so long and never knew.
Wow.
Mm.
That's
So just
incredible.
just being relatable, and yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today and being able to share your story. And I know you have big plans in your life, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much. You too. I love talking with you.
Yeah.